I'm going to talk to you about psychosomatic illnesses and posing the question whether it is all really in our head. And I guess the reason why I'm doing this talk is because I didn't really know what they were before I picked up a book about them. And I felt a bit guilty not knowing what they were, because it was only until I started reading the book that I realised how prevalent they are in the medical society. And because I want to do medicine, obviously I thought it was good that I started to know a bit more about them. So, a psychosomatic illness is a disorder in which the physical symptoms are caused or exacerbated just means made worse, by psychological factors. So, an example of these, common examples, sorry, ignore that. So this is a book I started to read. It's called It's All in Your Head, and hence why I used the title. And I thought it was quite a catchy title because it really does pinpoint the whole stigma around these illnesses. Because I'm sure you've all been in a situation where you've been watching a really scary film, and the thought of going upstairs to where all the lights are dark, all the lights are off, and you think there's a demon in your room or something, and you're terrified, your heart starts beating so fast. And then you stop and tell yourself, no, it's all in your head. But this is helpful to some extent, but of course it's all in your head, you know it's all in your head, but that doesn't stop the physical symptoms coming through. And it's the same thing if I start talking about insects, and start talking about nits, or mosquitoes or tarantulas, and you know that you start thinking about the small hairy legs that they have, you start to feel a bit shivery, no? You can start to feel that they're on you. Again, this is a physical symptom produced by what's in your mind. And this is kind of a microcosm of what psychosomatic illnesses are, but they're so much more intense because the physical symptoms are worse. The person doesn't realise that it is originating in their mind, and it's so very deep in their subconscious that they don't realise that they have power over it. So it becomes quite scary. And they're more common than you think. Here are some examples of ones. Migraines. They're caused by stress or excess fatigue. IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. Stomach ulcers, angina, which is heart pain, can be caused by excess stress. These are all things in your mind that are producing very real physical symptoms. So I'm sure you all heard, well I heard at least, a few weeks ago the charming Philip Hammond said to a Labour MP try not to get too hysterical about Brexit. And hysterical, the word has kind of been, the meaning's been lost. And now it kind of means hilarious, funny, sometimes it also means it's used as a derogatory term, sometimes towards women to kind of use, it means don't get too flustered or don't get too hot and bothered, and it comes from the illness called hysteria. And this is kind of one of the first sightings of psychosomatic illnesses, although they didn't know it was psychosomatic at the time, obviously. It first came around in the 17th century, and it was seen as insanity, but was only really found in women. Then it started to get more and more popular, and scientists started to find it more interesting. And the most famous cited physician to really look at this was called Jean-Martin Charcot, French obviously, and he in the 18th century decided that it originated from the womb, or the uterus, and this is where you get ideas of the wandering womb, I don't know if you've heard of it, and it's where they believed the womb was the master organ and it could control other organs in your body. So that's why they thought, oh yeah, that's why pregnant women vomit, because the distress that your womb is under is kind of being fired off towards your stomach and is causing you to vomit. It made perfect sense, apparently. And one of his popular techniques to try and cure it was hypnosis. And now, with all the developments we have, scientific, high-tech, all that, it sounds quite ridiculous that hypnosis could cure people. But it does make scientific sense, because hypnosis numbs your frontal lobe. That's your frontal lobe. It's at the front of your brain, and it controls your inhibitions. So when it's numbed, all your inhibitions are gone. So that's why when people are hypnotized, they do really weird stuff, because they do what they're told, because there's nothing telling them that it's weird or strange. They just do it. And sometimes the hypnotic state is maintained once they're brought back around. That's why you can click your fingers. They'll be back, but they'll still do the strange thing. So with hysteria, and it was being begun to use for psychosomatic patients, sometimes it cured people because their inhibitions were gone while they were hypnotized. So say someone who had psychosomatic paralysis, so they were paralyzed, but for no reason other than their mind, their subconscious. If their frontal lobe was numbed, i.e. their inhibitions were gone, they could walk. So it's really strange. So then there were obviously different outcomes. Some people were cured, some people were encouraged because they saw evidence of themselves in a cured state, so they thought, oh, I can do this, I can get better. And some people, of course, were traumatized by the idea. They thought that people had committed witchcraft against them, so it was all a bit controversial. But also, a lot of people thought they were faking, because if you're hypnotized, someone can tell you what to do, you're not in control of it, so you can, i.e. kind of put your feigned paralysis on the shelf, and you can walk normally, and there's nothing kind of keeping your front up. So people did believe that people who had psychosomatic illnesses were faking it. So this created a huge stigma around it for a while. But now we have good technology, and we started to do MRI scans. These are MRI scans. And they did experiments. They had 3 groups. One with psychosomatic paralysis, so someone who was paralyzed due to no clear reason, and they assumed it originated in the subconscious. One healthy group, so could move easily, and one healthy group were told to feign paralysis. So they all put in MRI scanners and were told to move their legs, move a limb, and pictures were taken of their brain. And people assumed, well, their prediction was that the first and third group would show very similar scans, but they were completely wrong. They were all completely different. All 3 scans show completely different outcomes. So they thought, what do we do now? Because these people aren't faking it. Their paralysis is real, but it's not the same as someone, it's not caused by anything clear. So it's such a, and people are still questioning this today, and I think it's such a bizarre idea, the fact that people, we think we can cure anything. We have drugs, we have all the operations we want, pretty much. But there are these people who are left in the middle. They go back and forth to different doctors, kind of rejected, saying you don't have this, you don't have this, you can leave now. But they're still ill. They are ill, they're physically ill, but there's just nothing wrong inside them. So something must be going wrong between the brain and the nerve endings. Something along that path must be going wrong, and we just have no idea what it is. And I just find it fascinating. So thank you for this.